Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive.
It really is a big week, isn't it? We're diving straight into Rassie Erasmus's latest team announcement, the one from November 7th, 2025.
Yeah, and the mission today is pretty clear. Unpack the key insights from this Springboks selection. It's all geared towards that massive grudge match against France at the Stade de France.
This isn't just naming a squad, it's pure strategy. We've looked at the sources, and they point to, 5 specific takeaways? It's this really interesting balance relying on serious experience, but also making some, pretty bold calls on youth and trying out positional experiments.
Exactly. We need to get inside the thinking behind those 6 personnel changes from the team that beat Japan. What's the plan?
Absolutely. And you have to factor in the Stade de France itself. That place can be incredibly hostile. Add the history between these two, especially after the World Cup. Every single pick, every omission, it sends a message. We need to unpack the why.
Before we get stuck into that chess game, just a quick word to you listening. Make sure you subscribe to Rugby Obsession now. Seriously, we want to hear from you, so let us know your thoughts on these big selections. Did Rassie get the bench right for this one? Let us know. Yeah. Oh, okay, let's peel back that first layer. 6 changes in personnel. And the sources are suggesting quite a few were, predictable. Almost like Rassie texted Gulfi the team sheet beforehand.
Yeah, maybe not quite. But certainly bringing back a rested Pieter-Steph du Toit and getting Damien Willems back fit again, those felt like foregone conclusions, really. Stabilizing picks.
Right, those were the obvious ones. Where does it get interesting then?
Well, straight into the front row, loose head prop specifically, Oxnace's injury, that was a blow. And I think most people, most pundits expected Thomas du Toit, Mr. Versatile, to just slide across and start at number 1.
But Rassie didn't do the shuffle.
He resisted, yeah. Instead of maybe disrupting du Toit at tight head, he's made this, frankly, massive call to start Bowen Venter at number 3.
Venter. Only 5 test caps, right?
Yeah.
Debuted against Georgia this year. That feels like a huge step up.
It is a world away from facing the French pack in Paris. It shows immense confidence from the coaches. But look, it's definitely the highest risk selection in that starting 15, no doubt about it.
Why specifically against France, though? What did Ox bring that Venter now has to replicate under that kind of pressure?
Okay, so Nar gives you 2 key things. Unbelievable scrummaging power, often targeting the opposition tight head, and that explosive carrying game close to the ruck, low center of gravity.
Right.
Venter has to step up and deliver that instantly. But the French front row, you're talking Bay, Malvaca, Antonio maybe, they are just relentless. They suffocate you at scrum time.
So if the Bucks lose that early scrum battle...
It changes the whole game plan. Yeah. It forces them to play differently, maybe kick more from their own half. It's sink or swim for Venter, literally from the first whistle. Big ask.
Okay, so high risk there. But then you have the stability element, like you said. Eben Etzebeth is back. Him and Lou Diego, their 42nd time packing down together?
Something like that, yeah. Just pure, predictable power, muscle, and experience. That anchors the set piece, which is always the book foundation.
But then the bench. That's where the real curveball came down.
Oh, absolutely. This is where you see the tactical thinking really shift. Quagga Smith, he's been Mr. Impact off the bench since, 2021. Explosive breakdown menace.
And he's just omitted from the 23 entirely.
Gone, yeah. For anyone who follows the Butitsa closely, Quagga usually provides that incredible burst of pace and turnover threat in the last 20 minutes, leaving him out. That signals a different kind of plan for the end game.
So who fills that gap? We've got Archie Snyman, Ruan Norche covering lock and flank, but the direct replacement for Quagga's role.
It's Andre Esterhuizen, the hybrid center flanker. And that substitution, for me, is the most telling strategic move Rassie made. It's less about pure explosive speed off the bench and more about positional flexibility and maybe matching what France can do.
So sacrificing Quagga's specific burst for someone who covers more bases.
Exactly. Esterhuizen can cover midfield, obviously, but he can also slot in as an auxiliary forward, a sort of big body carrier late in the game. It means the bench isn't just a rigid 6-2 split anymore. It's adaptable. Depends on how the game's going. It says a lot about how much Rassie values that flexibility now, maybe even over pure forward impact in certain situations.
Let's shift focus a bit to the emotional core of this week, Siya Kolisi. His 100th test cap. The whole country is buzzing, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's arguably South Africa's most loved player ever.
He really is an incredible milestone. But then you have Rassie, who's also hitting his own milestone 50th test as head coach. And he seems to be actively downplaying Siya's moment.
Yeah, I saw that quote. Kolisi will run out 10 seconds earlier and that's it. Celebration later. behind closed doors.
Right. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is Rassie risking team morale or upsetting fans by sort of minimizing what is, let's face it, a massive occasion for probably their most iconic player?
The thinking seems to be purely pragmatic, though. The sources suggest Rassie genuinely fears that making too big a deal of individual milestones before the game can create an emotional distraction.
And historically, those distractions, especially against top teams like France, can lead to losses. He's basically saying, acknowledge it, respect it, but the match comes first. Win the game, then celebrate properly.
Which ties directly into his whole philosophy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The difference between a good Springbok and a great one.
Exactly. He's hammered this point home for years. Great players play for the badge, for the country, for the team, not for themselves, not for the headlines.
And Kolisi is the embodiment of that.
Completely. Rassie makes it clear. Kolisi adapts his role, does the unseen work, the hard graft, as they call it. He puts the team's needs above any chance for personal glory.
You see it in his actions, too. Little things, but significant.
Definitely. Like letting Dwayne Vermeulen or Eben Etzebeth lead crucial team huddles, even though he's the captain. Or remember Eden Park against the All Blacks? Kolisi came back late into the side, but insisted Jesse Creel keep the captain's armband for that match.
Yeah, valuing continuity over his own status.
That's it. Those small sacrifices build the culture. And Kolisi is the living example of that selflessness Rassie demands.
And you can't talk about CI without mentioning the fan connection. That most loved player tag isn't just about rugby.
No, it goes way beyond the field. The sources highlight his genuine humbleness, how he always seems to have time for supporters. Last guy on the bus, apparently.
Always making time, whether it's a little kid or someone from back home.
Yeah, he seems to understand that the Springbok jersey represents something bigger than just the player wearing it. That connection with the people of South Africa, that seems unbreakable.
Okay, let's pivot back to the on-field strategy. Segment 3, the midfield. Here, it feels like experience and defense won the day. Damien Dealende and Jesse Creel pairing up for the 41st time.
Incredible partnership. And Delanon, he's still arguably the global standard bearer at inside center. Just immense power and contact defensively, so solid.
But choosing them meant someone missed out.
Yeah, and the sources acknowledge Canan Moodie was incredibly unlucky. He had a fantastic rugby championship, didn't he? So much attacking flair.
So why Creel over Moody for this game?
Defense. Pure and simple. This selection isn't about lighting up the scoreboard necessarily. It's about winning collisions and shutting down space in what's expected to be a brutal contest. Creel's defensive organization, his reads, and crucially his track record against France, particularly how he handled Gaël Ficou 2 years ago, that seems to have tipped the balance.
So Creel's job is basically to be the defensive marshal in that outside channel. Stop France getting the ball wide quickly.
Pretty much. A pragmatic choice for this specific battle, though it's worth noting the plan seems to be for Moody and maybe Ethan Hooker to get a run against Italy next week. So they're managing resources, but prioritizing stopping Les Bleus first.
Okay, and that focus on pressure brings us neatly to the biggest gamble, doesn't it? The real sink-or-swim moment. Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu, 23 years old, starting at Flyhalf.
In the Stade de France, arguably the most hostile place to play away from home. And you layer on top of that all the emotions still lingering from that World Cup quarterfinal.
It's immense pressure. More than just a debut, isn't it?
Oh, it's a pressure cooker. Zero margin for error. And it's a huge vote of confidence from Rassie and the coaches. Think about it. They resisted the urge to bring Handré Pollard back, even onto the bench, as that sort of ultimate safety net.
Yeah, the insurance policy.
Exactly. By sticking with Feinberg-Mngomezulu to start and Manny Libok on the bench, they're basically saying to Sacha, right, kid, show us what you've got under the most intense heat.
So tactically, what do they need from him? It can't just be about surviving out there.
No, he has to manage the game. Instantly. France thrives on broken play, on chaos. Sacha needs to control the tempo, make sure the Boks exit their 22 cleanly, use that big boot of his effectively to turn the French back three around.
So accuracy and control, not necessarily flashy plays.
Precisely. Flawless execution of the basics. Tactical kicking. Reading the game. If he gets caught up in the noise, tries to force things, France will pounce. That's the test.
It really is the ultimate deep-end test. And Sacha's not alone in feeling that heat, is he? Let's circle back to Boenventer.
Yeah, Venter's facing his own massive challenge. Filling Oxnard's boots is one thing, doing it against that French pack, even with Marks and Dutoit alongside him,
Yeah.
that's another level.
His pressure is more technical, right, at the
Yeah,
scrum.
absolutely. While Sasha manages the bigger picture, Venter needs micro-perfection. Any slip up at scrum time against France can lead to penalties, lost territory, lost momentum. He needs Marks and Dutoit's power, for sure, but his technique has to hold up for the full 80.
And we shouldn't forget the replacement hooker either, Johan Grobbelaar. Sources say he sees this as the biggest test of his life.
And he's probably right. He needs a big performance to stake his claim in that really competitive hooker hierarchy behind Malcolm Marks.
So much competition there with Wessels, Benami back eventually, Van der Merwe.
Exactly. For Grobbelaar, the pressure is all about the lineout. Against France, you cannot afford malfunctions there. The bomb squad relies on clean ball. If his throwing is off under pressure in Paris, his future chances could, well, diminish. This is his shot to prove he belongs.
Wow. Serious pressure points across the squad. Okay, quick reminder. Subscribe to Rugby Obsession and let us know who you think thrives under this pressure cooker environment. Sacha, Venter, or Grobbelaar. Share your predictions. Right, final segment. Let's go back to that bench surprise we touched on earlier. Andre Esterhuizen replacing Quagga Smith. This really highlights the rise of positional versatility, doesn't it, this hybrid experiment?
It really does. Choosing Esterhuizen is purely tactical. It gives the box up flexibility. Is it a 6-2 bench, or can it function like a 5-3 if needed? And crucially, it helps them match specific threats from France. They also use versatile players like flanker center types, Oscar Jagu, for example.
So Rassie is essentially mirroring the French approach while pushing his own boundaries.
I think he's pushing it further than anyone, really. Esterhuizen, a center who can play like a forward. He offers that size and power, but also more pace than a traditional loose forward replacement. He can cover a backline injury, or he can come on and be an extra ball carrier, almost like a mobile eighth forward in that final quarter.
It feels like a gamble, though, trusting a center-forward hybrid to handle the breakdown ferocity against France late in the game.
It is a gamble, yes, but the potential payoff is huge. It's about having options when things get chaotic. Say a center goes down early, Esterhuizen slots in, you don't burn a specialist forward replacement. Or if the game loosens up, he gives you pace and power to exploit tile defenders, maybe more effectively than another tight five player.
And this focus on versatility isn't just about Esterhuizen, is it? It runs through the whole squad.
Absolutely. Look at Grant Williams, the scrum half. We've seen him deployed effectively on the wing late in games when pure speed is needed. Ruan Nortje on the bench, he's not just a lock, he's being developed as a genuine blindside flanker option, filling those big boots from the past.
And even in the starting team.
You see it clearly. Cheslin Colby wing, fullback, and he can cover scrum half or fly half in an absolute emergency. That's invaluable. Then Damian Willemse, who's world-class at fly half, center, and fullback.
It just gives them so many options, minimizes risk if injuries hit.
And keeps the opposition guessing. They can change shape, change their point of attack late in the game without necessarily making a substitution. That's a massive advantage, especially when fatigue sets in and penalties decide matches.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Let's synthesize what you need to take away from this deep dive. The Springboks are leaning heavily on their experienced core. Think Creel, Dialando, Etzebeth to provide stability.
But at the same time, they're deliberately throwing key players. Feinberg-Mngomezulu at 10, Venter at prop, Grobbelaar off the bench into the absolute fire against their biggest rivals, testing them under maximum pressure.
And crucially, they're pushing that hybrid player concept with Esterhuizen on the bench, clearly valuing flexibility, maybe even over specialized impact like Quagga Smith offered. Hopefully this gives you a much clearer picture of the tactical layers Rassie is working with here.
They're maybe connecting this to the bigger picture, that specific tactical gamble Esterhuizen over Smith. It poses a really interesting question for the future of international rugby, doesn't it? Are we seeing the beginning of the end for the pure specialist player at the highest level?
Replaced by the versatile Swiss Army knife player who can solve multiple problems during a game.
Exactly. Is that where the top end of the sport is heading? It's definitely something to think about as you watch this huge test match unfold this weekend.
Makes you look at that 23-man list in a whole new light. Make sure you subscribe to Rugby Obsession right now so you don't miss our next deep dive. We'll be breaking down the results of all these gambles after the final whistle.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you for listening to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive, and we will look forward to you listening to our next episode.